To walk us through what we need to know about vaccines and immunization, I'm now being joined from our Abuja studio by a consultant public health physician who is also a deputy director and chief consultant epidemiologist at the Federal Ministry of Health, Nigeria, Dr. Jamiu Ganiu. Dr. Ganiu is a fellow of both the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria and the West African College of Physicians. He has contributed to Nigeria's HIV, viral hepatitis, and immunization programs, including coordinating the development of the National Strategic Framework for Viral Hepatitis. Today, we'll be talking about vaccines, as I said. A lot of people have heard about vaccination. It's something that is very crucial when it comes to health and well-being. Dr. Jamiu, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Right.
Thank you so much for your time and coming on the show today. As you know, vaccines are designed to train the immune system to recognize and fight specific pathogens like viruses and bacteria without causing the disease itself. But some people have been skeptical because of what they consider as safety concerns. Now, let's start with a conversation around vaccine safety.
Usually, the production of vaccines are made to be safe. What matters about vaccine is that we are just playing around, knowing a kind of knowledge about how the immune system works. Usually, just as you said, we just try to mimic the pathogen so that the immune system can respond appropriately, so that the system can be prepared against subsequent exposure to such particular antigen. That is by a kind of producing antibodies against such pathogens. However, yes, people report issue of vaccine safety, and this can arise from different angles. There are many factors. One thing I want you to know is that in a vaccine, we have what we call adjuvants, the actual pathogens, and we have the preservatives. So individual can develop can react to any of these components of that. And that is where some issues of trying to investigate to know where the issue is coming on board. So it's not just the pathogen alone that constitutes a vaccine. We have the adjuvant and we have the preservatives. And apart from that, if for any reason any individual can develop a reaction from any of them, and apart from that, ideally, vaccines are meant to be safe because it follows scientific procedures like clinical trials. We have stage 1, stage 2, and so on. And all this emphasize on issue of safety. They will have tried different doses, looking at issue of efficacy, looking at side effects, and so on. So before arriving to say, okay, we will need approval from appropriate quarter like the NAFDAC in Nigeria, Food and Drug Administration, and so on. So it is not something that is just being produced without following scientific procedures. Actually follow that. But I just give a reason why individual may react. Apart from the constituent I just mentioned, individual can also that can also be issue that has to be related to vaccine error, maybe during the constitution, dosaging, storage, and so on. So we can also have factors from that, and also we can also have, it can also be coincidental, maybe issue of individual reacting, it can be coincidental. And I want to make it very clear, it's not only vaccine that someone can develop side effects, even drugs. Paracetamol, some people, if they take paracetamol, they can develop severe form of Stevens-Johnson syndrome and so on. So it depends on individual,
so
but I want to assure you that majority of these vaccines have actually followed normal procedure, scientific procedure, to make sure that they are safe for our children and even for the adults. Thank you.
I just wanted to get that out of the way so that people know that indeed vaccines don't just happen. It's a whole lot of process behind it, and they're generally very safe. Let's talk about the types of vaccination that we have in Nigeria, particularly for children from 0 or when they are born to certain ages. So let's talk about that.
Just hearing, can you take this again, please?
I was saying that we should talk about the kind of vaccines that we have in Nigeria for children, particularly from when they are born up to when they're 5 years or thereabouts?
Usually when a baby is born from 0 months, usually for hepatitis B, it is expected that the child should take hepatitis B 0 dose within 24 hours of 24 to 48 hours of birth. Also, we have that of polio, oral polio, and also BCG. That was to prevent TB. That is at 0 months, immediately at birth. Then at 6 weeks, it is expected that they will also take the polio. They will take the pentavalent vaccine. And the pentavalent vaccine comprises of 5 types of vaccines: the diphtheria, the tetanus, we have the pertussis, we have Haemophilus influenzae, and we have hepatitis. That one constitutes the penta. And they're also supposed to take pneumococcal vaccine, which is also very important. Then we also have the IPT, which is also another component for the intravenous form for that of for TB. Then they're supposed to take the rotavirus, which is also very important at 6 weeks. Then after 6 weeks, they also take at they're also supposed to take at 10 weeks. And at 10 weeks, they're supposed to repeat the penta. They're supposed to repeat the pneumococcal vaccine. They are supposed to repeat the oral polio. And they are supposed to take rotavirus at that stage. Then at 14 weeks, they will also take penta, pneumococcal. They are supposed to take oral polio again, as I mentioned. And they are supposed to take IPV, which is also one of the compounds they're supposed to take at 14 weeks. Then at 6 months, they are supposed to take vitamin A, which is 100,000 international units. That's the only thing they are supposed to take at 6 months. Then at 9 months, a child is supposed to take measles. Very soon we'll start measles campaign on Monday in the southern part of the country. And yellow fever, they are supposed to take that too at 9 months. And also they are supposed to also take vitamin A. That is 200 international units at that point, at that age group. Then also, at 15 months, they are supposed to repeat measles. At 9 months again, they are supposed to take cerebrospinal meningitis to prevent cerebrospinal meningitis infection. Then at 15 months, they are supposed to repeat measles. So these are for now, this is the schedule for immunization in line with the national immunization schedule for the country. Thank you.
It's good that you have raised the issue of the upcoming immunization, measles and rubella in the southern part of the country. I'm sure it's going to go around the whole country as time goes on. But now let's talk more about the benefits of ensuring that children, and in cases where adults need to get vaccination, the benefits, of this immunization.
Okay, thank you very much. You see, there is a lot of benefits when vaccinating a child. For instance, TB. We all know what TB can cause. Somebody is infected with TB in later life. It can be so debilitating. It can lead to serious economic losses and so on. And you see, for instance, why you see people say, why are you coming all the time? I will come to the clinic. I will take, you give me, you vaccinate my child. You come to my house, you vaccinate my child. You know, the reason why we are doing it is that for every vaccine, that's what we call herd immunity. That is, there is a certain coverage, is a coverage that is expected by individual in a certain community. For instance, let them give for the measles that will be starting next week. The herd immunity, that is the proportion of people that is expected to be immunized in a particular community should be around 95%. And so that in case of any spread of measles, the individual, those that are susceptible, maybe vulnerable, will not be infected. So they will serve as soldiers, preventing those ones that are not be infected from getting that. For rubella, it's around 93%. That is herd immunity. So the one key thing about a vaccine is that is better, that's what you call prevention is better than cure. Why will you wait for a child to pass through the stress of, undergoing the pathogenesis of an infection when you know that, by just taking that vaccine, that child will be prevented from the morbidity associated with such infection. And again, nobody is very sure. Some people may do well. That if you remember during COVID-19, some people had it in a milder form and they recover, where some people, had issue, complication, and will result to death. So, by giving vaccine, you are trying to prevent morbidity, you are trying to prevent fatality, which is very important. And also, we are trying to prevent the vulnerables, maybe as a result of one indication or so, they are not able to take that vaccine. And also, it's a cheaper approach. The cost effectiveness is very important. When you look at the cost of treatment alone in the hospital, of staying for a long time in the hospital, you rather prefer to take a preventive measure that will not make you to pass through that process. And again, loss of time, people that are supposed to be at work at time because of one disease or the other, they will be admitted and so on. So they lose a lot of it. It has a kind of economic benefit, both in terms of productivity and so on. So that people, they said a healthy individual is a healthy community. So if people are healthy, and we try to, apply a measure that will not make them to fall sick, I think it's for the benefit, economic benefit of this country, which I also mentioned. So those are some of the, important. Nobody wants a child to fall sick. No mother will like it or develop complication. For instance, measles has complication. Some children they've lost their sight as a result of measles. Some have had encephalitis, have problem with the brain and so on and so on. So some have even died as a result of febrile illnesses, febrile convulsions and so on. So I think the better approach, better public health tool is still vaccine. Yes, people may say vaccine there is no doubt that doesn't have a side effect. Vaccine may have, but their effects are milder. It's only on very rare occasions that you see people developing serious side effects, such as anaphylactic shock. Maybe somebody after giving the immunization, something just collapsed. And when giving immunization, provision have been made for things like that. Then, due to high fever, some people will develop seizures, that is convulsion, and which can also easily be managed. So these are some of the little in rarer condition, and provision have been made so that in case somebody develop any form of, we call it adverse event following immunization, there are reporting channels for this so that individual can be supported. So this is not the first time actually Nigeria has been, vaccinating our children. We want our children to be healthy. We want our children to live longer so that they can take over from the older ones. So that's why I think immunization is very, very critical, and I will encourage every parent to take their children for immunization, either at their facility through the routine immunization schedule or during the campaign, which will commence in the southern zone on Monday next week. Thank you.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned some of those possible side effect or reaction to vaccination. What, in concrete terms, would you tell any parent that notices, for instance, a fever in the child? What would you tell them to do?
Usually, you tell the child to take the sponge, that it's using lukewarm water, Those are some of the home-based care we can do. And in the event that it persists, we'll tell them to take paracetamol. However, if the fever persists, because there are high-grade fever, like maybe a fever of about 40 degrees centigrade, I think you need to report back to the health facility, not that you should stay at home and manage it alone. So I will encourage that, or a child who, after taking vaccination, started developing convulsion, I think that person, I will advise that person a child of such nature should be, referred to the health facility. And also, in case somebody has anaphylactic shock, and the anaphylactic shock usually takes within the very short time, and I will advise that kind of person should not be managed at home. Apart from that, we also have the milder ones, like maybe pain at the site, redness, swelling, and so on. So we can encourage children, give them reassurance, let them take analgesic and see. And if it persists, I think the best thing is to go back to the facility where that child is being vaccinated. And also, some may have systemic side effects, like a fever, which are a milder one. They can have diarrhea, they can have nausea, they can have weakness. A child can even develop fatigue or persistently crying. So those ones, you look at it and give the assurance, and if it persists, you encourage parents to refer back to the health facility so the appropriate measure can be instituted, and as well as ensure that they are properly reported. Let me also clear this to you. Apart from vaccine, all these drugs, majority are in phase 4 of the clinical trial. We call it post-market surveillance. Majority of these vaccines, when produced, are in phase 4, in which we continue to monitor. We continue to record some of these side effects so that it can inform decision making, inform the need whether we'll continue with such kind of vaccine, or the appropriate body can decide to say, okay, we need to stop and think of another options, and so on and so. So it's a continuous process. And again, I want to clear it again. We have individual, the individual are constituted differently. Some people may not have any side effect, when some may develop some form of severe side effect. But the most important thing is the fact that we should report to the appropriate health facility, especially where that child is being vaccinated for future management. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Let's quickly see if we can take Chidi as we wind down the conversation. Hello, Chidi from Kaduna State.
Good afternoon, ma.
Thank you for joining us. Quickly, please.
I'm sorry. Compliments of the season.
Thank you.
Yes. For the sensitization concerning immunization on our little ones. But my only to take care of question is, this immunization process, are there some of them that are meant to be given subcutaneously, intravenously, and let him try to expatiate more on this for our team viewers. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. Doctor, quickly, if you can just react to what he says. He's just asking a question on the forms of, giving this vaccination.
Okay, the different forms. For instance, let me like the BCG, we give it what you call intradermally, usually at the left side of at the upper part of the arm. Let me also like the hepatitis B, 0 dose, we give them at the anterolateral parts. That's around the thigh area. Let me don't use our normal whatever at the upper part of the thigh. If on the right side for the penta, then for the pneumococcal we give them on. Sorry, don't let me mix it up. For instance, like the polio, we give oral. For the rotavirus, we give oral. For the penta and pneumococcal, we give them intramuscularly, usually at the upper part of the thigh. And also even for instance, the measles one that will commence on Monday, we give them at the upper arm. We give them subcutaneously. It's only the healthcare worker that are trained know what I'm talking about regarding that. We normally give it at the shoulder part, that's on the left side, where the yellow fever we give them at the
according to the
right
type
hand
of
side.
vaccine.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it depends. So if you are not trained, it's when you get to the health facility, the people that have been trained, they know. But just know that there is oral,
exactly where
there
to
is
put it.
intramuscular, there is they know what to do.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for coming on the show and giving us all of this insight into immunization. We've been having a chat with a consultant public health physician, Dr. Jamiu Ganiu. Thank you for your time indeed.
Thank you very much. Well.
And just before we go, let's see what's happening on the news segment.
Africa has officially lifted Mpox as a public health emergency of continental security following recommendations from the Africa CDC Emergency Consultative Group. The decision, according to Africa CDC, highlights the continent's strengthened health security, effective leadership, regional cooperation, and successful international partnerships in managing complex public health challenges. The declaration of the Mpox as a public health emergency of continental security in August 2024 was driven by a sharp escalation of Mpox transmission across the continent, with 80,276 suspected cases and 1,340 deaths reported in 2024, representing more than a five-fold increase in cases and a two-fold increase in deaths compared with the same period in 2023. The Democratic Republic of the Congo bore a disproportionate burden, accounting for 96% of reported cases and 97% of deaths. Africa CDC notes that the lifting of Mpox as a public health emergency of continental security does not mark the end of Mpox in Africa. Rather, it signals a transition from emergency response to a sustained country-led pathway towards elimination. Mpox remains endemic in several settings, and continued vigilance, targeted investment, and innovation will be essential to consolidate gains and prevent resurgence.
Voluntary donors, sustainable blood,
The Lagos State government has renewed its push to secure a safe, adequate, and sustainable blood supply with the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service, voluntary blood donation awareness, and one-to-one sensitization campaign held at the Lagos State Government Secretariat Community, Alausa Ikeja. The campaign themed Voluntary Donors, Sustainable Blood, Securing Lagos State's Blood Supply, formed part of activities marking the LSBTS Blood Awareness Month and the state's sustained efforts to promote a culture of voluntary, non-remunerated blood donation among residents. The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, said with an estimated population of about 30 million people, Lagos requires between 200,000 and 250,000 units of blood annually to meet its healthcare needs, stressing that voluntary donation remains the safest and most sustainable source.
We're very grateful to Lagosians, those that have come out to provide this life support. You know, we need to appeal a lot more to the public. We need to tell them that giving blood poses no risk to you as a donor. You know, the risk is in processing the blood and for the patients. So it's also healthy to give blood. So every time you donate blood, in your heart you know that you've saved somebody's life. You know, so we are appealing to all Lagosians, young people in particular, make it a habit once, twice, 3 times a year to just pop into any of our blood donation units in Lagos. Offer your blood, and with time, if you become a regular donor, you know, you start to get certificates. We appreciate you, we call you to events, and as you release blood, your body actually, it's almost like a process of renewal within your own body, you know. So they say blood donation is actually good for your health.
Remember that immunization remains one of the most effective public health interventions for healthy individuals and communities. Thank you for your time on Health Matters. I look forward to seeing you again next week. I am Yomi Otaigbe.